when we came to this problem of fostering inclusive leadership, we actually wanted to visualize the problem. That's why there are three things on screen. So firstly, we looked at the traditional view of leadership, and you can see that it's in the form of a pyramid with the leader at the apex and the customer at the bottom. And then people actually came up with a theory of modern leadership where the roles were inverted. It became a reverse funnel with the customer now having the emphasis and the focus. They came up with the tagline, the customer is king, and we'll focus on the customer. And so we wanted to really come up with a visualization for our problem and to understand what is inclusive leadership. That's when we came up with this concept of a puzzle piece. So in our opinion, inclusive leadership is not a funnel or an inverted funnel, because that's too restrictive. You are placing someone else at the top or at the bottom. In our opinion, it's a puzzle piece where pieces might have different sizes, but each of these pieces have equal importance and they fit together to make the whole thing, which is the organization that you can see in the third part of inclusive leadership. And we have also set up a flow of the presentation to better explain the presentation. Since we have followed the design thinking approach, we start with the introduction, then we move into the definition of the problem where we'll do a role play to sort of better emphasize on the aspects of the problem. Then we move on to the empathy stage. We try to empathize with the stakeholders involved. We go to ideate where we talk about the implementation issues, the prototype testing, and finally the final thoughts. And so moving on to the role play, we'll have three characters to do the role play. I'll be a senior team member. Neeraj will be a new hire who's just joined the organization, and Siddharth will be the team leader. And so, scene one. Hello? Oh, so we got a new hire. Let me check him on LinkedIn. Whose pronouns are they, them? Is he a guy or a girl? Scene two.
Well, how does this question even exist? Why can't I be treated the same like other employees in the organization?
Hello, welcome to the team. I am your team leader. Why is your face looking distressed?
Nothing, is just that I just can't understand that why am I being misrepresented? Why am I not being included into organization? Why the employees are treating the different like others? I don't know.
Oh, don't worry about these things. I have also faced a lot of criticisms from my early career due to my color. But what brought me to the stage is my courage. But don't worry, I will make sure that you don't face any such criticisms under my leadership.
Scene 3, board meeting.
We have seen a dip in sales over the past quarter. All of our team members can suggest your thoughts and opinions on it.
Team, may I?
Yeah, sure.
He's a new employee. Why even listen to what he has to say?
In my team, all opinion matters. It need not be that he is a senior member or he is from a diverse background. But all opinion matters. That is how you will foster inclusive leadership.
So moving on to the next slide, we actually had to take a boutique consulting firm. So we tried to find a real world company so that it had a publicly available financial data. So we actually found this company in the UK called Alpha Financial Markets Consulting. And the reason we chose the UK based company was that we wanted to see how things are in an advanced economy where they're actually trying to foster diversity, inclusion and leadership. And so in many Indian companies, they don't specifically have, a targeted DEI policy. So we wanted a company with those policies available. And about the company, we actually found details about the gender representation from the annual report. We were able to find that in the analyst and consultant level, if you look at the table, they had a 36% female and 62% male. But if you go up to the directors and equivalent level, that percentage actually reduces. It's now 13% female and 85% male. And this is showing that, there's a trend where women are dropping out of the workforce. So we wanted to study like why, women are not making up to higher leadership levels. Besides this, we were also able to find data regarding the fact that this company doesn't have a lot of ethnic diversity also. And if you move on to the operational highlights, this company has close to 994 consultants, 101 directors, and it operates across 13 countries with 17 offices. And at the top, we have actually mentioned the revenue details of the firm. It has 228.7 million pounds of revenue, euros of revenue, and its profit after tax comes to 25.8 million. And it's a firm that operates in the, it self-describes itself as a multi-boutique firm, and it operates in asset and wealth management markets. That's their primary focus. So that's the niche that they are focused on. And they actually have diversity, equity, inclusion policies. Although we went through the annual report and were able to find some policies like there are disability confident level to employer, we still felt that they were not able to include everyone. And so we try to tailor this into a solution and use this company as a basis to propose our solutions.
So whenever there is a need of laying off employees, most of the times it is seen that recent hires are the first one to get fired. And in that also, disproportionately, the number of diverse employees are getting fired more than the number of diverse people who are existing in the workforce. And this might have something to do with your productivity, which can be attributed to psychological safety. So the organization should try to be in the right side of the quadrant, where they try to give them a high amount of safety, and in that also they should try to be in the growth zone, where they give them high challenges and high safety, so that the employees will feel included and they will feel a sense of belonging, so that they will also share their thoughts. Next is the empathy map. We wear the shoes of a diverse employee who is trying to join this organization. So these are the thoughts and feelings which will go on in this mind. Next is the step-by-step approach for fostering inclusive leadership in this organization.
So now let's get deeper into the problem statement through the secondary research that we had. From the left upper, we can just see that all the minority section of the people are getting feeling that the increase in the DI should be there, and it's a good thing. That means there is a lack of diversity in their organization, and with the lack is causing that they are being unfairness mistreated into the organization, which is leading, if an organization is saying that no, we are not being mistreating any employees, but the question is what roles they are offering. 38.71% of this LGBTQ are offered as a team member. But if we go up the ladder, it is just below 1%. That is 0.6% at the CEO levels. And it's the same for the gender diversity as well, which has been represented as per the EY report that as per the team member, they're having high percentage of the women. But if we go up the ladder, the story is completely different. And what they want is the fifth one, is that they want a complete feedback and recognition system so that they can have a proper reporting.
And so again, we wanted to understand what are the issues that are impacting DI implementation. So we didn't just want to come sit and brainstorm and figure the issue. So we wanted to actually look at relevant research papers and articles to see what the industry is facing. And these issues are listed here with the proper sources where they're taken from. And some of these issues that were impacting DI were resistance to change, complexity in measuring DI. DI can be quite a complicated thing to measure, whether it's going properly or not. Intersectionality, where people belong to multiple categories, it might be difficult to quantify them as, they are in this category or that. Difficulty in inadequate training, a lack of commitment from leadership towards DI, financial constraints, and a bias in assessment rules. So in a solution, we try to, sort of fight against these issues and try to come up with solution that can avoid these issues that are hampering DI.
Yeah. So let's talk about the resistance. We have three things: input, resistance, and output. In order to better get the output, we need to minimize the resistance. The five major resistance that we jotted down are the lack of role model, inappropriate behavior, misrepresentation of attrition, and cultural and societal bias, and at last, discrimination in the pay disparity. If no one is having a role model at this senior position, then there is no guiding factor for them. Same as the inappropriate behavior as well as the cultural societal changes, it should be within the organization as well as the outside the organization to remove the cultural biasness. And the third is the misrepresentation of the attrition. Although the attrition is there in the organization, but nobody is saying what is the diversity attrition in any organization. The diverse section of the society are getting more into their rolled off position as the other members. And the fifth one is the large discrimination and the pay disparity. Although the mothers and the women who are just married, they are getting paid less than the other senior member of this organization.
So next we will see about how we can navigate inclusivity challenges. DEA dashboard is an important tool which can be used. Diversity dashboard should also be integrated into the recruitment platforms where a quota should be given as to how much of the diverse employees needs to be recruited. We are also coming up with a campaign of reverse the narrative where leaders will be tagged with a diverse employee who is in a junior level position. They will be sharing their thoughts and their struggles which they are undergoing in the organization. So with this, the leaders also can get valid opinions through which they can frame and build policies in the organization, and apart from that, they will also get to know what the upcoming generations really see and what they really need. And for creating an inclusive leadership, it should be the task of both the employer and the employee, not the employee alone or not the employer alone. And that is why creating inclusive leadership and diversity and growth are from the employee perspective, and empathy and advocacy are from the employee perspective. In the next slide, we can see this graph where this states that the important outcomes of DA programs will be, and compensation is one of the most important things which cannot be neglected. Through compensation, the organization will also be able to encourage desired behaviors from the employees. Since it's not such of a big organization, doesn't have much of a big brand value, they should follow lead the market strategy, compensation strategy, where they lead more than 75% of the industry to pay the employees. By doing so, they will be able to hire the best of the diverse employees into their workforce. Apart from that, we are also giving targeted training for underrepresented employees, those who lack certain skill sets. By providing those things, they will feel a sense of superiority, and they will also be able to voice out their opinions in team meetings. We are also trying to quantify inclusivity. For this, we are coming up with a 360-degree feedback, where all the center of focus of the employee will assess him based on certain questionnaires, and in this questionnaires, 4 or 5 questions will be added for inclusivity parameters. And according to where the employee is rated in this, 10% of variable pay, which is fixed to inclusivity, will be given to that employee. Apart from that, monthly DEA sessions, thought leader sessions will be taken either virtually or online, and quarterly compliance courses on DEA will also be sent to employees, without completing which this variable pay will not be given to them.
So now let's talk about how we can implement a more diverse into the organization, more inclusivity. So there are 4 main factors, starting from the inclusive leadership to inclusive engagement, and the third is cultural awareness, and the fourth is recognition and feedback. In this inclusive leadership, there should be a rotate meeting leadership. Why only one single person should always represent the organization in certain meetings or other? Why can't that be at the different rotation, a team who is just in the new into the organization? Why can't he just give all the minutes of the meeting, and then although all the authorities are to the senior leaders, these are small things like minutes of meeting, it will feel that employee more included into the organization. And the second is the inclusive engagement. In this, separate departments have the separate councils for the query resolution. And if those departments are not able to resolve that query, then there will be a decentralized council which will be taking care of all the policy changes into the organization. Third is the cultural awareness and the recognition and feedback, which will be taken into the next slide. So this slide is the most important slide for us. Looking at the solutions part. Okay, so we talked about all the 5 resistance: lack of role model, and the attrition rate, and the cultural societal biasness. So we tried to solve all most of the queries into this slide. First one, if you just see at the display dashboard, which is on the left top, inspired by the Google's Google. Every day there will be a separate personality into that display, which the employees can just read about them so that they can act as a role model for them every day. And their computer's screen should have the wallpaper of that personality, and there will be a weekly assessment for that, so that the employee doesn't just skim through it. They will have to understand that what does the role model actually is, and how they went up the ladder. And the second one is the menu. Menu is the most important. We just looked at what an employee just looks, what employees love, and what employees feel. All the three things we jotted down. Menu is the best thing. If you're in an organization is going for the food, then why to serve tea? Why don't we can serve equity or unity? And the third one is the documentary based. We talked about that we should be into the shoes of this diverse section and try to feel included. But how? How is the question? And the answer is the documentary. We can have a documentary based which can be implemented into the organization every half yearly or the annually. The documentary, the actors will be the employees only who opt out for that documentary, so that they can feel it act into the mindset of the employees, that they are regularly just acting like a disabled person or acting like an LGBTQ person. So they can actually feel that what that person would be going into the real life. And they can just have a mindset change into the organization. And the fourth one is the game role. We always learn into the organization through games. We create a strong bond if we are playing. So that's the thing. If we are playing, then we have a game rule, but the games have certain rules, like they shouldn't be just mingling with the person whom they like. They should have the diverse people into their gamings, and the leaders should also be involved into that games.
Now we are adding model is an instruction framework which can be used for giving trainings. Due to its disadvantage of linearity, we are tying up with Dick and Caddy models so that feedback can be provided, which can lead to changes in the instruction continuously. Then for assessing the training given, we are coming up with the integrated Kirkpatrick and the PDCA model for continuous improvement, so that this process can go on for a longer period of time and be sustainable. And in the next slide, you can see this graph. These are both homogeneous and diverse, well-managed groups. In case of homogeneous groups, due to trust in the first level of stages itself, they see a high growth, and after a point of time, due to lack of innovation, the revenue stabilizes. But in case of diverse workforce, due to their diversity in backgrounds, the trust becomes a factor, and it takes some time to develop trust. But after trust is being developed, there will be a high amount of innovation which comes in, which increases the revenue of the company. And then according to a research paper by Othuan, he suggests that 10% increase in gender diversity leads to a 12.8% increase in return on assets.
And so moving on to the financial estimates, we believe that, if you are going through a design thinking approach, it's incomplete without having some financial estimates and understanding, what it's going to cost. And so our firm is actually a mid-sized firm, and it has close to 2,600 crores of revenue. And so for such a firm, we charted out the budget of all the things we had proposed. And it comes to 37.75 crores. It can look hectic, it will look like a lot, but the thing is, we want to spend at least 1 to 1.5% of our firm's revenue on this, so that we are able to create proper impact. If we spend little money, we will not be able to get the right amount of impact. And so the budget comes out to be a total of 37.75 crore, with the game room having 7.65 crore. It's one of our flagship things that we have proposed. And then moving on to the financial estimates, since it's a publicly listed company, we got this information from the annual report regarding the 2022 and 2023 years. Original details regarding the financials. The income statement is listed here. So we went to the Bloomberg terminal in our college and got information regarding to the projected estimates of this company for 2024 and 2025, and based on this estimate, we took some assumptions to have updated estimates on how our program could improve the organization. As my friend Siddharth talked about, like a 10% increase in diversity could lead to a 12.8% increase in return on assets, as suggested by the Othuan research paper. Besides this, we have also found data from Deloitte and other sources which suggests that an increase in diversity could lead to as high as 19% increase in revenue. Some projections are more optimistic, but we have taken a more conservative assumption of a 12% increase in revenue. And based on this, we have projected the financials, and we have added the 37.75 crore which will come as the expenses for all these things into the selling, general and administrative expenses, and we have projected the updated estimates for 2024 and 2025 in the last two columns. As you can see that compared to the estimate 2024A, in 2024A in updated estimate, our EPS actually went down. That is because, as Siddharth had suggested in the earlier slide, sometimes when you implement a lot of things, you don't see the benefit of it instantly. It takes some time for that benefit to incur, and when you see, if you go to 2025, you can actually see those benefits incurring. We can see that our EPS has jumped to 36, which would have been 25.67 if it was normal. We also have an implementation plan, and it's phase-wise quarter-based implementation. Again, because we don't want to overwhelm the employees. We don't want to implement all these things together in a row, because it will not be feasible, because it's important that the employees feel included when such things are being implemented. And the easier things like DI digital dashboards, we implement first, and the more complicated things we go for the next quarter. And finally, we would also like to talk about the concept of DEI backfire. This is because if you are going to implement a lot of solutions like this, it's important that existing employees feel included. And this is where the concept of DEI backfire comes in. Because if the existing employees are not happy with what is being implemented, all the benefits we talked about, all the projection, they are all not really, important. Because the existing employees have to feel that, what is being done is for them also. And this is where you can see this 4-quadrant axis with the false advertising, talent magnet, talent repel, and get the word out. And the organization will try to be a talent magnet, because what it means to be a talent magnet is that the external perception about the policies of the organization are great, and the employee reality is also great. And so if you look at, what it means to be, what it means to be in get the word out, it means that internally things are great in the organization, but people don't know. So it's important that both things are great internally and people are also aware that the organization is great. Only then you can attract the right talent and the organization can grow based on the estimates we have set. And besides this, in order to combat DEI backfire, we have also listed some steps, again based on our research. And these things are, one, inclusive planning. Existing employees have to always be included. They don't feel included, there will be DEI backfire. There should be comprehensive communication. Again, you talk to them, you tell them, we are doing this for this reason. It's important that they are aware why things are being done, not that things are being done haphazardly. And moving on to continuous education, again, one of the issues that we listed was that there's not proper training, there are a lot of bias in assessment tools. And through continuous education, we believe that you can bridge this gap. Although it will never be perfect, it's important. And finally, we have regular assessment and proper continuous feedback to make sure that the process works fine. This is our last slide. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.